Wow. What an impressive group we have with us tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about all of this, but I want to get Robert Trainum's take as we put him on our It's Your Call hot seat first up. Robert, good to have you with us.
Good to be here, Lynn. I feel the heat.
So what is the political significance of this trip that Barack Obama just completed?
Well, there's no question about it, Lynn, that from an overall messaging and visual standpoint, Barack Obama hit a home run, bases loaded. Republicans here in Washington, D.C., and of course in the McCain campaign are privately seething because the overall trip was literally treated, as you mentioned, rock star status, but even more so presidential-like status. I mean, you know, if you take a look at the images and take a look at Senator Obama literally traveling from the Middle East to Europe and obviously over into Paris, into London, you know, you don't see these images unless a sitting head of state is meeting another sitting head of state. So in terms of the overall messaging, again, Barack Obama did a phenomenal job. There's no question about it. A lot of Republicans here, Lynn, are saying, why can't our candidate be as good as Barack Obama in terms of being articulate, being visionary, but also in terms of also being kind of almost on the world stage, if you will. Also,
well, I have to ask the question, if the press is playing into that somewhat, and I have to turn to the Republicans for their perspective on it, do you think that the reason John McCain, folks, doesn't appear to be getting the same kind of star treatment is because the press isn't necessarily behind him?
Well, the press didn't pay much attention when Senator McCain went through Europe and actually went through South America and Canada as well. And it was Jay Leno the other night who said that Barack Obama was attended by thousands of screaming, hysterical fans, and that was just the media. So certainly there is something to imagery here. And it's hard to dispute that the press doesn't have a favorite in this particular election.
And yet at the same time, Tony, there was a very serious intention behind Barack Obama's trip abroad, and it was to educate himself as much as possible so that when critics said he didn't have the foreign affairs experience that his opponent has, he would be able to at least say, well, I'm working on it.
Well, the bar was set so low by the media, right? They said the bar is way down here. And when he went abroad to talk to the foreign leaders, he far exceeded anybody's expectations. I mean, the Republicans goaded him to go. They said, we dare you to go. And then he went and got all this press and they said, come back, right? I mean, but the bar was so low and he hurled it and he did it well. But it's because he has new stuff to say and he's talking about change. The reason why they're not following McCain is, I mean, he wants to be in Iraq for 100 years, and there's nothing new. I mean, he wants to continue what Bush has done in the last 8 years.
I want to run back to Robert then and get some reaction to that, because there was almost an elevation to rock star status given to Barack Obama by the press. Is that an unfair advantage over John McCain?
Well, it depends on your perspective. Obviously, there are a lot of folks, or a lot of Republicans here in D.C. that think that. But, you know, I asked a lot of reporters about this, my colleagues in the press, and they say, well, wait a minute, time out here. Back in 2000 and 2001, when John McCain was running for the presidency, he was given rock star status. He was the maverick. He was the one that the press absolutely adored. And even up until the Republican primaries, he was the one that was getting a lot of favorable press. A lot of reporters out there were saying that they got nasty phone calls and emails from the Giuliani campaign and from Mitt Romney saying, you're treating this guy with kid gloves. How come you're not going after him like after you go after us? In addition to that, very quickly, Lynn, a lot of the press are saying, well, the reason why we are covering Obama so intensely is because nobody knows who he is. John McCain has been on the national scene now for 20-plus years, and so the American people know who he is, but we have an obligation to educate the American people as to who the senior senator or the junior senator from Illinois really is.
All right, let's get some response to that. I want to turn to Al for your reaction.
Well, I think one reason for the disparity when Senator McCain went abroad as opposed to when Senator Obama went abroad is Senator McCain went abroad on a fact-finding effort, which is what he encouraged Senator Obama to do. Senator Obama's released his conclusions before he even left and treated it more like a campaign abroad. And while it's a fantastic image to have 200,000 Germans assembled and cheering for you, I'm confident that come November, Senator McCain will win regardless of how Germany votes.
Now, Tara, the thing that we pitched at the very top of the show was not just about his experience or lack thereof in this particular area, but could his personality, could his image change America's image around the world? I know Germans can't vote, nor can the French or the English, but would that have an effect on how Americans vote if they think, here's a guy who can represent us well and maybe turn the tide back in our favor?
Absolutely. I think a lot of Americans are very concerned about the pervasive anti-American sentiment around the world, and clearly how we relate to the rest of the world does have an impact on us. We are in a global economy and in a global environment, and I'd like to get back to the press point. I want to sort of rebut what my colleagues on the right are saying, or on the wrong are saying. Just joking. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, I think that John McCain has been the one who's gotten the free ride all of this time. I mean, if you look at a recent George Mason University study just came out saying that, yes, Barack Obama has gotten more coverage, but the coverage has been more negative versus John McCain, who's gotten less coverage, but the coverage has been far more favorable. And that's backed up by facts.